Hey you, I'm really glad you're watching this. It means a lot. And if you feel like subscribing, well, that would honestly make my day. All right, let's dive in. The coffee was still warm when she said it, not with tears or apologies, but with a faint smile as if she were casually sharing weekend plans. Haley rested against the kitchen counter, her arms crossed over the hoodie he always liked on her. His college track name was still stitched into the sleeve, worn and soft. She dropped it like it was trivia. It didn't mean much, Ryan, but yeah, I was seeing someone. His name's Derek. Ryan stood frozen near the sink, fingers clenched around his mug. He didn't flinch, didn't say a word. The overhead light flickered above them. It wasn't love, she continued, her voice even. It was different. He made me feel seen, like I mattered again. Still, Ryan didn't look at her. The silence that followed. It rattled her more than shouting ever could have, but she held her ground, convinced she was still in control, thought his silence meant shock or heartbreak. What she didn't realize was that Ryan already knew every detail. The affair, the lies layered around it like armor, the fake conferences, the joint card charges at that fancy Thai place Derek adored, the Zoom calls that ran late, and the hotel receipt she thought she'd deleted. But Ryan had already saved it, duplicated it even. He worked in data. He wasn't naive. When someone like him is betrayed, they don't react. They document. Haley had braced herself for yelling, accusations, tears, something dramatic she could spin into sympathy. Instead, Ryan calmly set his mug in the sink, dried his hands with the dish towel, and said, "Need to get the car serviced." Oil light came on. He grabbed his coat and left. No door slam. No words. Just the dull hum of the refrigerator left behind. Haley stood alone, bewildered. That was it? In the garage, Ryan moved with mechanical focus. He opened a drawer, pulled out a sleek black flash drive, and connected it to his old ThinkPad. A folder popped open instantly. Archive, last 12 weeks. It was all there. Audio files, Zoom clips of Derek mocking Ryan as the dull husband. GPS records from Haley's Tesla that aligned perfectly with Derek's home address. Screenshots of flirt-heavy Slack chats. Photos from work events Ryan was never invited to. One video was simply titled, Room 314. She had called that meeting strategic. Ryan didn't sigh, didn't cry. He simply clicked back up all. Then opened a second folder, Phase 2, External Comms. This wasn't heartbreak. It was a quiet operation, cold, clean, relentless. 3 days passed. Haley's confession floated between them, untouched. No arguments, no awkward silences over dinner, no separate sleeping arrangements. Ryan acted the same, folded laundry, cleaned the countertops, even organized her vitamins in the weekly pill case. But nothing was normal. It was camouflage. While Haley texted her sister, chuckling about how weirdly chill Ryan had been, he sat in a rented office across town, hiding behind a VPN and a random Wi-Fi alias. He drafted a message. No greetings. Just a subject line. Creative Director Haley Bishop leveraged company retreats for secret affair with Derek Cole. The attachments told the rest, time-stamped images, financial overlaps, and a voice memo. Haley laughing, saying, "Honestly, Derek could expense my entire marriage. No identifiers. Just a disposable email account." The message hit HR's inbox first. The wording was calm. "You don't know me, but your creative director may have exposed your firm to significant risk." Evidence followed. Names blacked out. No threats, only facts. That evening, Haley got home late. She offered a gentle smile. "I think we should talk. Something feels off." Ryan, rinsing dishes, nodded. "Yeah, soon." But his eyes didn't lift from the sink. Then came the fallout. The next morning, she noticed a calendar shift, an important meeting reassigned, Derek's name in its place. Minutes later, her phone rang. Her manager's voice was clipped, unfamiliar. "Concerns have been raised. We need a private meeting today." By lunchtime, Haley sat across a long table in the legal office. A heavy folder lay in front of her, documents she thought were long gone, expense reports, a photo of her on Derek's lap during what she'd called a branding retreat, an email describing Ryan as a decorative houseplant I keep for stability. She blinked up at her manager. "Where did this come from?" The NDA slid toward her like a verdict. "We're offering you a graceful exit." "I built this agency," she whispered. "You also compromised it," came the reply. Haley felt the world tilt. She had always imagined consequences as random cosmic retribution. But this was surgical and deliberate. Ryan returned home before the sun dipped. Haley sat hunched on the sofa, eyes red, her laptop half closed beside her. "I got blindsided today," she murmured. "Someone's out to destroy me." Ryan tilted his head. "That sounds awful." No surprise, no warmth. She stared at him, hunting for signs, remorse, anger, anything, but found only calm. He kissed her forehead gently. "Going to bed early," he said, then climbed the stairs. She didn't move. A tightness twisted in her chest. Something broke. Ryan hadn't checked out. He had already left. Haley barely slept that night. She told herself it was office politics, jealousy, miscommunication. But deep down, she knew. Ryan's quiet wasn't submission, it was strategy. And now everything was unraveling. By morning, her phone was in meltdown, 12 missed calls, all from clients. Her inbox was a disaster. One subject line hit her like a punch: immediate termination, morality clause. Breach attached were the same incriminating files. But this time, the leak was public. Clients weren't just severing ties, they were scrubbing her name from history. By lunch, her profile vanished from the agency's website. By mid-afternoon, a gossip site ran the headline, "Agency in Freefall, Infidelity, Scandal, and the Fall of a Power Creative." A photo froze a moment in time. Haley and Derek in swimwear, laughing under the sun beside a pristine hotel pool. Derek held a champagne bottle and Haley balanced on an inflatable float, his tie looped around her wrist. Her mouth fell open as she stared at the image now glowing on her phone screen. Who had done this? The phone buzzed on the table. Her sister was calling. Haley snatched it up, her voice unsteady. "Did you see it?" There was a pause, heavy with weight. "I did," her sister finally said. "Ryan sent me something yesterday. Said if I wanted the truth, I should look inside. I didn't expect—" Her voice cracked. Haley's stomach twisted. "He sent it to you?" "To me, to Mom, and a few others," her sister replied. "Haley, you wouldn't believe what was in that envelope," Haley whispered, barely audible. "I've made a horrible choice." "No," her sister replied coolly. "You built a whole image around it." The line went dead. Haley sat frozen, phone still clutched in her hand, her mind spiraling. She felt like her blood had vanished from her veins. That night, she tore through the house, rummaging Paul's office, digging through the linen closet, even flipping open bins in the garage. Nothing. The safe remained locked tight. She rifled through their stash of old flash drives. All missing. Then, deep in Ryan's unused desk drawer, she spotted a lone post-it. On it, in Ryan's handwriting, were just a few words. "You can choose betrayal, but you don't get to choose the consequences." Her breath caught. This wasn't chaos. This was a carefully laid plan. Elsewhere, in a drab hotel 3 towns over, Ryan sat in silence. No smile on his face, no bottle in sight. Just his laptop, a thick stack of paperwork, and one more envelope, this one addressed to Melissa Cole, Derek's wife. He had hesitated. But then he remembered Derek's smug voice, overheard during a Zoom call. If this ever blows up, I'll just say Haley came onto me. She's the mastermind anyway. Ryan made sure Melissa would hear that recording herself. He included more: falsified receipts Derek had filed, Slack messages where Haley mocked Melissa as oblivious, even GPS logs from Derek's work phone, data Ryan had quietly cloned during a double date over a year earlier. Melissa received the package the next morning. Within the hour, Derek's access badge stopped working. That evening, she posted a photo online, wine glass in hand, relaxing on her porch. Her caption, "A gentle reminder, quiet people aren't always weak." Back home, Haley sat huddled on the shower floor, mascara smeared down her cheeks, trying to grasp how her entire life had unraveled in a matter of days. Eventually, she reached out to Ryan. "I know I can't fix this, but please, say something. Even if it's to say you hate me, don't disappear like this." She refreshed her inbox. Nothing. Then came a bounce back. "Delivery failed. This recipient is no longer receiving messages." The phone slipped from her grasp. For the first time in her life, glossy, admired, always in control, Haley Bishop felt what it meant to be completely erased. She didn't leave the house for days. Even simple tasks filled her with dread. The barista who once complimented her earrings now looked away. Neighbors who once waved scrolled past her in silence. But the hardest part wasn't the embarrassment. It was Ryan's silence. No angry retort, no confrontation, just a total clinical absence. He hadn't disappeared out of revenge. He had vanished with the precision of someone shutting a door on their past forever. At exactly 8:03 a.m., the doorbell rang. A courier stood outside, holding a narrow envelope. No return address. Inside, a single sheet. "This is to confirm that at 11:59 p.m. next Friday, ownership of the residence at 54 Brookridge Lane will officially transfer to Ryan Bishop. Please vacate the property in accordance with Clause 9 of the attached agreement." Haley turned over the paper. A portion of their post-nup was stapled to it. She barely remembered signing it, back when Ryan had joined MedVault and they'd drawn up documents just in case things took off. She'd skimmed it, laughed about it, signed quickly. Now, highlighted in bold yellow, "In the event of proven infidelity resulting in reputational or financial harm, the offending party forfeits all shared assets." There it was, her signature, dated April 11th, 2019. She hadn't even signed it with her married name. She was losing the house and had less than a week to leave. She ran to her laptop, attempting to access their accounts. Password rejected. Tried the home security app. Access denied. Her phone rang again. Unknown number. She answered immediately. "Ms. Bishop?" said a clipped voice. "Lauren Vance, Raquel and Stern, calling to confirm the termination of your business partnership with Mr. Bishop." "What? No, I never agreed to that." "I'm still co-founder," Haley protested. "Not any longer. The board reviewed Mr. Bishop's evidence. Based on Clause 12 of your founding contract, partner misconduct, he now holds exclusive ownership." Click. She didn't even move. The phone call faded into silence. She stood alone in a house she no longer owned, surrounded by walls that were once built on love and now closed in with legal precision. That night, desperate and running out of ideas, she drove to his parents' old place, the house where they'd once spent Thanksgiving dinners. Maybe he left something there, a note, a picture. She pulled into the driveway. No lights, no car, no packages, just stillness. She knocked, then knocked again, harder. Finally, she screamed, "Ryan!" The door creaked open, not by Ryan, but his brother, Matt. It had been over a year since she last saw him. He looked tired, not angry, just tired. "You should go, Haley," he said quietly. She stepped forward, shaking. "Please, just tell me where he is. I know what I did. I know I don't deserve anything, but I've lost everything." Matt looked at her with quiet sadness. "That's the point," he said gently, and he shut the door. She didn't knock again. Thousands of miles away, Ryan walked along a still harbor in a foreign city. The sea breeze was sharp and clean. He stayed in a small rental overlooking the water. No social media, no cards, just cash, just space. He opened his laptop once, typed a message. He didn't send it. He left it in drafts. "You made me feel invisible for years." That's how he learned to disappear the right way. When he was done, he closed the laptop with a quiet finality. Outside the window, a fishing boat rocked gently in the harbor, slowly vanishing into the heavy mist, just as he had. Haley had whittled her life down to a single suitcase and a rented storage unit. She stood frozen in the echo of her former apartment, now stripped of warmth, blank walls, cleared shelves, and a silence left behind by Ryan, who had exited without a raised voice or a slammed door. Everything was erased. The framed snapshots, the vinyls he played while making Sunday brunch, his neatly arranged watches, the sneakers always parked by the front door. Gone. He hadn't simply moved out. He'd erased himself, as though he'd never been there at all. Only quiet remained. Her phone, untouched, sat on the kitchen counter. No calls, no texts. Her social media profiles scrubbed clean. Inbox overflowing but ignored. The circle she once leaned on had grown distant. Even the podcast she'd co-hosted, a space for driven women navigating love and ambition, had quietly removed her photo from the cover art. Her hand hovered over a bottle of wine, then stopped mid-reach. Ryan had never liked wine. She used to joke it made him brutally honest. Now she longed for that honesty the way one misses a lost limb. At the threshold, suitcase in hand, she hesitated. A sliver of her still hoped he'd reappear, maybe offer to carry a bag, maybe smile the way he did when she read bedtime stories to his niece, resting his chin on her shoulder. But no one came. Only the wind moved outside. She checked into a small, impersonal rental close to the city center. Beige walls, cold lighting, nothing of her remained. Then one morning, a parcel arrived. Plain brown box, no sender. Inside was a hardcover titled Disappearance as Disciplined by R.G. Bishop, self-published. She opened to the first page. This isn't vengeance. This is a lesson in limits, in clarity, in what happens when you take someone's silence for granted. Her hands trembled. She kept reading. Her name wasn't there, but the narrative was unmistakably hers, theirs. The slow unraveling of a relationship she believed was unbreakable. One chapter stood out. Chapter 14. The most dangerous men don't yell. They observe, and when the time is right, they vanish. She closed the book with care. At the bottom of the box lay a single sheet of crisp paper, typed, unsigned. You ignored me for years. Now you understand what that silence meant. No rage, just resolution. R. Haley sat down on the edge of the bed staring at the ceiling. No breakdown, no bargaining, only emptiness. Because this wasn't about revenge, this was the end, a clean, unflinching break. Weeks later, wandering through a bookstore, she caught sight of herself in a mirror. She had changed, almost unrecognizably. Behind her, someone whispered, "Isn't that the woman from that memoir? The one who cheated on the tech guy?" She kept walking, not because it wasn't true, but because the story no longer belonged to her. She had nothing left to explain. And somewhere else, far beyond cell towers and static, Ryan stood alone on a cliff overlooking the ocean. A camera hung from his neck. The sea before him stretched gray and endless. He didn't feel anger. He didn't feel vindicated. He felt untethered. In the old notebook he'd carried since that night she confessed, he'd written one line. Pain takes two forms, the one you cry out loud and the one that buries you. He flipped to the next page and continued writing. This is where our story ends. Thank you for reading. Leave your thoughts in the comments. If this spoke to you, there are more stories waiting. Until next time.